Good FM. Welcome back to another episode. As you can see, I've really got myself a nice microphone, and next up will be a definite camera upgrade, I believe. But today we're going to talk about the NRL and what has been happening around the league thus far. Let's start off with Eli Katoa. Eli Katoa has returned to Melbourne after a surgery and is officially out for the 2026 season. I said it in my first video and I say it again, I think the medical professionals that were at that game failed him pretty bad. I think if they had done their job right the first time, we wouldn't be in this scenario, quite obviously, and we wouldn't be in this weird position of what's going to happen with Eli Katoa in the next 12 months. It's been confirmed that he's not playing for the 2026 season. Could this be the end of his career because professionals didn't do their job? Unfortunately, that is yet to be seen. I really hope it's not the case, but the way everything's playing out now, who knows, right? Next thing we're going to talk about is the R360 debacle that is currently going on. NRL player agent Clinton Shafkovsky has officially come out and said that he will no longer be dealing with R360 officials. He represents both Zach Lomax and Ryan Papenhuyzen and admits that he was advising some of his clients, Lomax and Papenhuyzen, to pursue R360, but has since backflipped as the NRL's 10-year ban has been extended to agents and managers alike. He has also been quoted in saying, I won't be having anything to do with R360 moving forward, and there is a 10-year ban in place for agents who take players to R360, and I don't want to do the wrong thing and cop that. And he also goes on to say, I'm absolutely respectful of the NRL's position. It is a very interesting time. Zach Lomax has not confirmed a deal with R360. He has not got anything in concrete. It is all verbal agreement, which again for a player of Lomax's stature is very interesting. I think it's a very risky move. Papenhuyzen, I would imagine, being that he was officially off contract, I think has found another loophole. He had one more year of a Storm deal. Rather, Lomax cut his 4-year deal short after one season, and it's a very interesting link to try and pursue, right? They've both been strongly linked to R360, but in the meantime, it is reported that Zach Lomax will go to MLR for one season or half a season until the R360 competition kicks off, which is being reported as roughly start of October time, just before what is going to be the 2026 NRL Grand Final. It is reported also that Lomax's deal, verbal agreement deal, is worth roughly $1.5 million a season, and with R360 having multiple teams included in Europe, he could also have a massive tax break, which is very risky again for a sports player, not only a sports player but for a sports professional who gets paid a lot of money. It's all well and good having a tax break, but getting too comfortable with that and going back to a country like Australia or the States or anything like that can be a big problem. We've seen it before with sports stars, but who knows, right? It's all dependent on what ends up happening. Again, nothing is set in stone, unfortunately, for Zach Lomax. It's all verbal agreements. He's no contract signed, he has no contract offered at this stage. It could all come around and bite anyone on the backside. tomorrow. I mean, R360 could turn around and say they want nothing to do with NRL players because it's too much of a hassle, there's too much involved, or too much litigation or legal jargon involved, and that could be a problem for Zach Lomax. He could be out of a job altogether. No one would want to deal with him. But that being said, who knows? Let's see how R360 goes. In other news, we've got to talk about players officially joining rival team camps. First big one that come up is, it came across my feed the other day, David Fifita has officially joined in on the South Sydney Rabbitohs camp, joining them in training earlier this week. I do think, unfortunately, that starts the fall of the Titan kingdom, if you will. Tino, I think, was sitting on his deal to see if David Fifita will want to stay or if he want to go, and I think he was making his mind up there, and I do think Tino will be heading off as soon as possible. I do think that opens doors for more players to come in, but that's all dependent on what happens over the next kind of 2 to 3 years. Jaden Campbell could leave. Keanu Kinney could be scouted by bigger and better teams. AJ Brinson, I think, is probably going to stick around for another year and then maybe go to the UK where he'll make a little bit more money and play a little more of a role. And I think preference, I would imagine, is better for him. The other big name that has officially joined rival camp is Daly Cherry Evans. He was spotted at the press conference, I believe, yesterday, and he talked about officially joining the Sydney Roosters. It's a big one for Manly fans, I think. When Luke Brooks came in, they were so excited, right? They were so excited to have a half pairing that worked and a half pairing that had so much potential. You know, you had Brooks, who was the wily veteran, but he was still young and hungry. Then you had Daly Cherry Evans, who was a proven stud and a reason to be excited for the Sea Eagles fandom. But with Manly's shock announcement that Daly was not re-signing, that he was leaving, it started a lot of speculation. Of course, a few months ago it was confirmed that he was going to the Roosters. Not even a few months ago, I think it was only confirmed officially about a month ago after the grand final that he was going to Sydney. But good for them, good for Daly, good for the Roosters. Hopefully Manly can bounce back and sign a few players that are really capable of filling those boots. If I was Manly, I'd probably start young. I don't think you'll get any veterans in there just yet, but then again, who knows? You know, worse things have happened. Yeah, that's all for today. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you liked it, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment of what kind of content you want to see on this channel. Big Kiwi Sports on Instagram. Go ahead and give that a follow. Hopefully you like that mic. Tell me if you want me to up the volume, down the volume, anything you want to do. Let me know. Any feedback is much appreciated. Yeah, once again, thanks very much for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.